Right. We are about to start our new lesson. So that is lesson number 11. Up to now, we have just discussed about. So don't worry that. Don't worry about the notes, because especially you need to get this into the head, right? That is what the required, because writing another note and filling notes will not help you doing this. But please do the practicals, right? In this lesson also, please do the practicals that I said. So some practicals you can do virtually, these questions, especially you can do virtual practicals using DC circuit construction kit. Do as much as possible. Change the question and change it, and different ways. Not just this, practice, see that and observe that. So when you observe, you can remember the things rather than just fill in the books. After that, after the observation, you can write the observations. But only after the observing. Don't just blindly write, because science is not such a subject where you blindly write like history, whatever they are in the book you write. You don't care whether this is wrong or right, or anything written in the book is history. So that is how we learn it, but that is not good. History also should be learned by exploration, but the thing is we are blindly trusting the history by trusting the books. But actually speaking, the history is also a scientific subject where you need to do various archaeological findings, and also related to the different civilizations and all. You need to find the facts, and it's dealing with some science disciplines like fossil analysis, right? There are a lot. So after doing that only we can trust. But normally in Sri Lankan context, what we are doing is we are just by hearting the things which are in the book. But in science, don't do that, because in your book also, they have recommended what? They have recommended doing the practicals. A lot of activities are there. Do all the activities, and it's very easy to remember the things. And after the activity, you can write the observations. Right? After the activity, after doing the activity, you can write the observation, and it will be very, very easy and interesting too. Right? I saw that you have done one practical that I suggested. Which one? This one? Yeah, this one. Yes, this one. Yes, good. So you have done it. And what do you think now? After doing that, do you really need to remember these things by reading this article? Or after doing that, what do you think? You can remember it, right? You know that just coil is not that much magnetic, but when you put the iron core, the magnetism is little bit increased. And when you increase the number of wrappings, right, number of turns, what will happen? It will further increase, right? But you don't have the multimeter, don't worry, but you can still check that with this attraction using these pins. If you actually done that, you can easily remember. That is what I really recommend. Okay, let's move. And so if you want, you can buy a multimeter, right? Because it is useful in many, even in your grade 9 subjects, grade 10 and 11, all of our subjects, science subject, it's useful. So you can just think about buying multimeter. It's not costly. You can just go to this, and there is a multimeter having all, like, it can be used to measure voltage, amperage, and resistance, all three, right? So here, multimeter. This yellow color one, I suggest this yellow color one, not this one. This is bit expensive. This one is also okay, and this one is also okay. Here you can see it's only 1,200 rupees, right? It's because using that you can measure these things. It's very, very easy to measure these things. But no need to purchase this kind of thing. This is a bit expensive. You can just purchase this one. This is cheaper. This is cheaper than this is cheaper. It's very cheaper, and you can buy that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, because it's useful, right? It's useful. You can measure various things, but don't try to measure AC. It's a bit dangerous. AC current, you can measure with the support of your parent, but don't directly measure AC voltage. This is the maninyan nepa. පොඩ්ඩක් dangerous නේ පොඩ්ඩක් අත එහා මෙහා වුණොත් එහෙම. ඒ වුණාට battery voltages, battery amperage you can just test, right? And amperage also, don't try to measure the amperage of large batteries like car batteries and all. Voltage okay, but because the amperage that is provided by these large batteries are really high, and it can maybe melt these wires. But normal battery voltage, amperage, resistance, all these things we can measure. It's easy to learn. It's not difficult. Okay, then main biological processes in plants. We have learned this in the previous chapter, especially in the water cycle chapter and some other chapters related to this. About the plants, we have learned about the living beings. Even in grade 6, the first lesson is about various living organisms. So in that also we have learned. Grade 7 also we have learned. So especially we have learned about the process called photosynthesis, where plants produce their own food. We call autotrophic. Autotrophic means it can produce its own food. So that is wonderful, right? If we are like plants, we are not struggling with this economic condition. Why? What we have to do is we have to go to the sunlight. That's it. And we will not feel hungry. So I thought this one also, so why we can't use chlorophyll, maybe attach chlorophyll to some surface, maybe we can make dresses with chlorophylls. I'm just thinking, right? So maybe they have done, scientists already done some experiments, but when you are going to become a scientist one day, your mother is also related to the same discipline. So when you are going to like explore this subject further, so think about like this. These are bit crazy ideas, but just think and try to maybe initiate something that will be a new discovery. Maybe it's very useful. It's really useful, right? If you can make a dress with chlorophyll. Chlorophyll means these plants, because these plants can produce their own food. And actually, if plant can produce their own food, if we have a source, actually what we are doing now, for the moment, what we are doing is we are doing cultivation, and we are depending on the crops. But we have to wait some time. We cannot immediately consume food from plants, right? We have to grow it first, then put the fertilizer. After fertilizing, the water and all the nutrients need to be provided. We need to protect from the insects and other pests. And then after some time, it will give you a crop. Maybe these are seasonal, some are non-seasonal. Anyway, you have to wait some time to consume it. It's not immediately consumed. But the plants daily produce its own food. So if we have a way, if we find a way to use that mechanism in maybe our consumable materials, and if there's a way to extract that food produced by these plants or food produced by these leaves, if it is possible to extract that without destroying the plant, right? Without destroying the plant material, if we can consume that daily by moving to sunlight, we can satisfy our food requirement. It's wonderful, right? If we can do that. So just think the magic. So anyway, plants are autotrophic. Don't think much about that, then you end up being crazy. So anyway, so just think about these autotrophic plants. They can produce their own food. That is why we call autotrophic, but we are not. Hence, plants contribute to existence of themselves as well as the other animals. So without plants, we can't live, right? Because that is the first form of food source, first form of food factory that we see in the planet Earth. So if plants can produce food, then actually animals, insects, all these creatures are depending on plants primarily, directly or indirectly. Then so sometimes we are basically, we are hybrid. We can depend on plants and animal matters too. But these animals, on the other hand, they are also depending on plants. Anyway, so for the existing, since why the earth is habitable, why it's not we cannot call that habitable. Habitable means any kind of living creature is there. But why earth has animals, why there are a lot of animals in the earth, the reason is plants. Reason is plants. Because of plants only, we are surviving. When one day plants vanish from this world, then cannot think what will happen. Right, okay. So actually, what are the ingredients? What is the recipe What are the inputs? Can you remember? Yes, when plant produce this, when this happen, when this process happen, that means the production process or the plant produce the food using this photosynthesis process. So what are the inputs? Yes. Hello. What it takes? We learned this previously also. Yes.
Water.
Water, yes. It needs water.
Sunlight.
Sorry?
Sunlight.
Sunlight, exactly. Water we need, sunlight we need. What else?
Fertilizers.
Yes, some amount of, but not really. But fertilizer is for the existence of plant, it is needed. Indirectly, yes. Directly, you need water for sure. Directly, you need sunlight for sure. One more thing, which is taken from the atmosphere. One more thing, which is taken from the atmosphere. Yeah. What is that? Yes, yes, yes. වතුර ඕන හරි ඉර එළිය ඕන තව දෙයක් ගන්නවා වාතයෙන් නැත්නම් වායු ගෝලයෙන් විශේෂ වායුවක් ගන්නවා මොකක්ද ඒ වායුව
Carbon dioxide.
Yes, it's carbon dioxide. That's very important because plant can absorb carbon dioxide. So in any food source, we can see carbon. In future, you will learn when you are learning about chemistry, A-level biology or A-level science, maths related subjects, you will learn that these are carbohydrate, what we consume. These are carbohydrate, sugar, lactose, fructose, glucose. They are made of carbon. They are made of carbon. They are carbon based. So our food sources are basically carbon based, right? So carbon is essential material. Therefore, there's a cycle called carbon cycle 2. So anyway, this carbon dioxide is there in the environment, atmosphere. So what it does? So here, what it does is basically it will absorb carbon dioxide mainly through its leaves, but sometimes rarely stem or the trunk or stem is adapted to do photosynthesis, but it's rare case, right? Normally it is done by leaves. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ශාක පත්‍ර තමයි ප්‍රභා සංශ්ලේෂණය කරන්නේ. හැබැයි සමහර අවස්ථා තියෙනවා කඳ ශාක කඳ අනුවර්තනය වෙලා තියෙනවා ප්‍රභා සංශ්ලේෂණයට. හැබැයි ඒක හැම වෙලේම නෙමෙයි සමහර අවස්ථාවල. Rarely, occasionally, right? Normally it is done by leaves, right? So here you can see it will absorb carbon dioxide and actually it will absorb sunlight too. Sunlight is an energy source. Carbon dioxide is a matter. So I hope you can remember the difference between matter and energy, right? Energy is also non-destroyable, but energy can be converted to some other energy. And matter can also be like matter cannot be destroyed, similar to energy. It can be converted to some other matter. So different status of matter. So similar to that, energy cannot be destroyed. It can be converted to some other. So in the previous lesson also, we learned how to convert electricity to different energy types. Sunlight is also energy. Actually, chlorophyll is capable of, chlorophyll is a color. So inside these leaves, it is capable of absorbing sunlight. Chlorophyll is capable of absorbing sunlight. And so carbon dioxide and it like this root system is basically absorbing water, right? Water is then transported to the leaves using its venation system. Xylem basically we will learn. So that is called xylems. So phloems are used to transport food. Xylems are used to transport water. Actually, here you can see it transport water and sunlight is absorbed. Carbon dioxide is used. Then the food is produced. And as a byproduct, oxygen is released. So here we can see It's very important to our environment. Why? So one is it will absorb carbon dioxide. You know, if there is like higher amount of carbon dioxide, what will happen? In the environment, if carbon dioxide percentage is high, what will happen? Sometimes you have heard of these things. Yes? Environment එකේ වායු ගෝලයේ carbon dioxide වැඩි වුණාම මොකද වෙන්නේ? Yes.
There will be very hot.
Yeah, that will be hot. It will be very hot, right? When you increase the amount of carbon dioxide, the temperature will go up, and also it will melt glaciers, and it can even affect the ozone layer. Right? It will also affect the ozone layer. So therefore, this photosynthesis process is very important because this plants will absorb carbon dioxide, additional carbon dioxide, and it will help balance in the atmosphere. And also it releases oxygen. That is also a wonderful thing because we need oxygen for breathing. We are depending on oxygen, including the plants. Plants also need oxygen for breathing. Don't think that plants are always emitting oxygen. හැම වෙලේම මේ ගස් වලින් මේ ඔක්සිජන් අපිට දෙන්නේ නැහැ. සමහර වෙලාවල් තියෙනවා ගස් වලින් ඔක්සිජන් ගන්න. Right? Sometimes here trees are, so these leaves are also absorbing oxygen. Why? Trees are also doing respiration. ගස් වලටත් ශ්වසනය කියලා එකක් තියෙනවා, right? ඒ හින්දා මේ ගස් වල කරන අපිට නිකන් හිතනවා කාබන් ඩයොක්සයිඩ් අරගෙන ඔක්සිජන් දෙන එක තමයි ගස් කරන්නේ. දැන් සමහර වෙලාවට ගස් ඔක්සිජන් උත් ගන්නවා. It will take oxygen for its respiration process because the energy production, one thing that is needed for any animal is respiration. So oxygen will also be absorbed by this, but that is not called photosynthesis. That is called respiration. Anyway, so this will balance because it will release oxygen to the environment. It will absorb carbon dioxide. This oxygen released to the environment is really useful for animals for breathing. Right. Okay, let's see how it is happening. So right here, you can see, I have explained this already. Carbon dioxide is like basically that enters into the leaf to stomata. What is stomata? Stomata from atmosphere. Stomata means so if you use a microscope, you can watch these. Stomata. See, let's say microscope image. Here you can see, right? When you are using a microscope, basically this is back side of the leaf, right? When you use a microscopic view, back side of the view, you can see, you cannot see this much of clear image, but maybe you will be able to see something like this. So here using light microscope, let's use light microscope, right? Not electron microscope. If you use light microscope, so you will be able to see, I have seen around like, not actually this much clear, but it depends on the leaves. You can see in the back side of the leaf, this kind of pattern. You can see that is actually the stomata. Stomata means these small holes, in the backside of the leaf normally, right? Here there's a pore. Using this hole, actually it absorbs. So these holes the hole size will be different time to time because if this hole size is larger, then the leaf will soon lose its humidity, or leaf will soon lose its wetness and water. Therefore, these holes are sometimes open, maybe in the noon, they will like try to protect their water. Otherwise, මෙහෙම ලොකුවට තිබ්බොත් එහෙම මේ ගස්වල කොළ මැලවිලා යනවා. හේතුව තමයි මේවෙන් වතුරත් එළියට යනවා. ඒ හින්දා මේක පුළුවන් තරම් ඒ වගේ වෙලාවට මේ වගේ පොඩි කරලා තමයි තියෙන්නේ. කොහොම හරි මේ holes වලින් තමයි මේවෙන් තමයි යාලා ගන්න. These holes are used to absorb This is called stomata. මේකට සිංහලෙන් නමක් කියනවා. Putica. But what you need to remember is the English name, right? Okay, because you're in English medium. Putica කියලා ලියන එක තමයි. So enters into the leaf, because I learned this in my school, Sinhala medium, but for my degree, I have learned this in English medium. So I cannot actually remember these Sinhala words much. Unless I refer to that, then I can recall. But normally, sometimes, I'm really sorry for that. Sometimes I used to forget these Sinhala words. But recently I learned English one, so therefore I can remember that better than the previous. Then water. Carbon dioxide is needed. That is absorbed from the atmosphere. And then water, actually the root system. Root system is responsible. Actually here, the root hairs are absorbing. So main root and including the main root and root hair and other roots are also uproots. These are absorbing water from soil. Then it transport to the leaf through xylem. Xylem is the xylem and phloem. I think you have heard of these terms previously. Xylem and phloem, right? Actually, xylem in a here this is actually cut off a leaf and cut off stem and root. So everywhere the xylem and phloem are there. You can see xylem. This is actually combined. Xylem, phloem. This create the venation system, right? So I think you know the venation system. Venation means narrative vinyasa. Venation of leaves. බැලුවම මේ වගේ පේන්නේ. ගහක කොළවල මේ කොළවල නාරටි තියෙන. මේ venation එකේ මොනවාද තියෙන්නේ කියලා බැලුවම this is actually this created using xylems and phloems. Xylem transport water and phloem transport food. This is leaf and this is root. You can see the xylems and phloems are there, root also, and stem also. You can see xylem, phloem, and there's an additional one also. Right? Okay. So that is basically, so different trees are having different xylem structures, phloem structures. But the thing is, basically the idea is this.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Let's move to the. Okay, root has absorbed water from the soil, and then root hairs absorb water from the soil and then transport to the leaf through xylem. Xylem is there in root, also they are in the stem, and it's also there in leaves. So it's transporting. So that is called. So we learned this transpiration. In previous grade, we learned about transpiration. Transpiration means basically during the daytime, right? During the daytime, due to sunlight. So here, unused water evaporated from the leaf surface. Actually, it happens through that. We learn how it happens through that small pores. So this evaporates. So the concentration of water will be low, but here in the soil, the concentration of water is high. Then what will happen? Actually, the root system will absorb this and will transport water through the stem, through xylems. Actually, this is called the transpiration process. If you cover set of leaves using a polythene bag in a daytime, you can see this transpirated water drops. This transpirated water vapor will condense, and you can see some water drops inside that, or some collected water inside that polythene bag. So that's a practical. Very simple one. Put a rubber band to the polythene without damaging the stem. Cover this using a polythene bag and put a rubber band. Then in the noon time, right? Just wait, and after some time you can see there is amount of water collected in the. So that is actually happening due to the transpiration process. Here the transpiration happening, you can see transpiration happens through stomata. That is the same stomata we were referring now, which is absorbing the carbon dioxide. So this is amazing living structure, right? Chlorophyll. Chlorophyll, a green color pigment, basically, which is found within the chloroplast of the cell. In a cell, there are different parts. Chloroplast is one part of a cell. Haritaprada කියලා කියන්නේ, right? Here. So actually chlorophyll is a color, a green color. It is in the chloroplast of a cell. හරිත ලවයේ තියෙන හරිතප්‍රද කියලා තමයි අපි කියන්නේ. And they absorb the light. Right? These chlorophyll is these are responsible to absorbing light. Then the light energy. Light energy is also needed. Carbon dioxide needed. Water is required. Chlorophyll is required. Light energy is required. Actually, light energy can be given synthetically. When sunlight is absent, but that is expensive process. Without sunlight also, we can stimulate photosynthesis process. සූර්යාලෝකේ නැතුවත් අපිට මේ ප්‍රභා සංශ්ලේෂණය උත්තේජනය කරන්න පුළුවන්. We can stimulate the photosynthesis process without the sunlight. So this is happening in, like, I have seen this clearly in this airport and this MRT system in Singapore when I visit there, because like inside here they are it's like it's really, you should experience that one day. There's an underground plant system in MRT. So I'm not sure whether I can see these in MRT. This is like overground trees. Well, just the trees inside the ground. Okay, something like this. This is fully covered. This is like in a tunnel. No way to, like, sunlight is absent there. Cannot see sunlight, but in the interior, you can see plants and trees. This is in Thailand, Taipei. The plants and trees, you can see it is underground. So in the like in this Singapore airport also, I saw that. Singapore airport. Plants inside. Inside the airport, there are trees. Can I see? I think Changi Airport. No images here. It's something like this, but not actually. This is some other. Here also, yes. It seems this is Changi. Anyway, so there are underground trees inside buildings where sunlight is not present, but still these trees are surviving because some kind of light energy is required. So like this light energy can be synthetically කෘතිමව දෙන්න පුළුවන් මේ ආලෝකය. එහෙමත් හදන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Artificial light. You can just try. You can also try this inside your home. Artificial light, plant growth. So plants growth can be stimulated, or plants this photosynthesis can be. For growth, you need photosynthesis, right? For plant growth, you need photosynthesis. Here, growing plants under artificial lights. This is growing. Sometimes this is done in deserts and some other areas. Growing plants are done. So in different countries are doing different. They are having different mechanisms of growing plants. There are indoor farms. This is done using artificial lights. You can see, not using the real sunlight, artificial sunlight, but still here you can see different kind of lights are given. LED, halogen, and different light, high output fluorescent. They're doing this and they're testing this under the different lights. Anyway, some kind of light energy is needed. Carbon dioxide needed, water needed, chlorophyll needed. And okay, then what is happening in the this process? Carbon dioxide and water will react, and light energy will be the, like, for any reaction, for any kind of reaction. Sometimes, like, we need some kind of energy, right? Here the energy is like සමහර වෙලාවට අපි react කරන්න රත් කරන්න. සමහර වෙලාවට react කරන්න අවුවේ තියන්න. සමහර වෙලාවට react කරන්න mix කරන්න ඕන. ඒ වගේම මෙතනදී මේ carbon dioxide water react කරන්නේ ආලෝකයේ තියෙද්දී when light is present and the chlorophyll is there. Light and chlorophyll is there, it can react and produce glucose. This is the wonderful equation that I said. If you can try, maybe one day if you can create an umbrella with interlinked umbrella with chlorophyll. So imagine chlorophyll umbrella can absorb carbon dioxide and water from the environment when light is present, and it can produce glucose. Maybe in your bag you can collect glucose, or maybe in your cells, in your living cells, it is possible to transport this glucose into your living cells. How wonderful that is, right? Then also you are also becoming autotrophic, kind of autotrophic one day. These are some imaginary scenarios, but just think why we cannot do that. What are the limitations? Just explore. Okay, then glucose produced in these leaves are immediately converted to starch in the leaves. Like a pishte බවට පරිවර්තනය වෙනවා. Glucose will be converted to starch, and then this starch is converted to sucrose. ඊට පස්සේ මේ starch වල තියෙන හැදෙන පිෂ්ඨය, ශාක පත්‍රවල හැදෙන පිෂ්ඨය ඊට පස්සේ sucrose වෙනවා, and it will be transported to the drawing areas and also the storage organs. Storage organs can be stem, can be root. Different plants store their food in different places, no? Fruits වල store කරනවා, සමහර ඒවා මුල් වල store කරනවා, සමහර ඒවා කඳේ store කරනවා. කීකේව තියෙන දැන් මඤ්ඤොක්කා ඒ වගේ වෙනම. එතකොට අල බතලවල වෙනම සිස්ටම් එකක්. එතකොට තක්කාලි වගේ ගත්තොත් ඒකේ වෙනම. එක එක තැන්වලනේ. ඒ වගේ storage organs වලට transport කරනවා. Right? Later this is converted, like starch in the leaf is converted to sucrose and transported to the necessary plants, and it's for the growing areas, because the plant own growth of the plant also, plant's own growth, this is required, and not just that, other than that, it is used for storage purpose. Plant does both, right? Plants consume and store.
Okay.
Okay. Then, right, you have an activity. So maybe you can try to do this, but you have to use the plant leaf, and also you can just put this into a glass, because in your home environment it's not possible to find this what do you call, the beaker, watch glasses, tripod, Bunsen burners. But you can just do this using the existing stuff in your home. You can just use a container, or maybe metal cup for boiling water, and then this can be put into another one, and actually you have to fill this with alcohol water. So why here alcohol, and then to steam, like to boil that, you have to use water. Don't boil alcohol directly, sometimes it might burn. So you have to put that into, so both are like, you can directly boil this, and The next thing is you can use this alcohol container and boil this. Advantage of boiling in the alcohol container is so that will remove chlorophyll from the leaf. So you can easily view the color changes. නිකම්ම මේක රත් කරාමත් මේක යනවා. මේ වගේ මේ bubbles යනවාට මේක රත් කරාම මේක රත් කරනකොටත් මේකේ මෙහෙම කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. ටෙස්ට් කරලා මෙහෙම රත් කරලා ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. හැබැයි ඊට වැඩිය හොඳයි මේ ඇල්කොහොල් එකක දාලා මේව කරනවා නම් ඒතර ක්ලෝරොෆිල් අයින් වෙන කොළ පාට අයින් වෙනවා. Right? Actually, both steps are used, but the first step is not removing. The first step is basically dip leaves into hot water and boil, and then put into the boiling tube with alcohol and boil the water in a water bath as given. So both steps you need to use, but this step will not be enough. Making විතරක් කරන්නත් තිබ්බ හැබැයි color change එක බලන්න බෑ. So this step is not enough. Therefore, you have to burn like this. Then ultimately, what will happen after some time? You can see that the green color will be slowly removed from the leaf because chlorophyll will be extracted. And after that, what you need to do, take this leaf away and wash it because it's in alcohol. No? Sometimes it can react with the alcohol. Therefore, you can wash it. You can wash it and then put it into a wash glass, or you can just put it in a petri dish or something. So no need to put petri dish එකටම දාන්න ඕන නැහැ. මේ නිකන් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ප්ලේට් එකකට දැම්මක් කමන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයා ගෙදර කරද්දී. Right, then because in a watch glass you can clearly witness the color change. So that is why we are putting into watch glass. It is clean and not like it's not contaminated with other things, and it's really clean, and you can observe this very well. But if you're doing that in home, you cannot use Bunsen burner. Instead of that, you have to use gas cooker. Okay, so after that, you have to put iodine. This you need to get from a chemical shop, or maybe you can ask help from your mother, right? You have to get a small amount of iodine. Iodine is colorless, basically. When you put this iodine, this starch will be converted, starch will be converted to blue color. Because iodine will react with starch and then it will be visible in blue color. Right here, you will observe that the leaves turn into dark blue color when iodine is added. Iodine drops දෙකක් විතර දැම්මම iodine is basically, this is light brown, sometimes can be little more brown, but when you put this few drops, it will be converted into iodine is colorless when you put into the salt, but the thing is here, so normally if you take iodine separately, it has a color, and then it will be converted to dark blue. Actually, why it is dark blue? Because it proves that there is starch, because iodine will react with starch. You can just test this with normal starch, and you can just put few drops of iodine to starch and see the same color will be there. Right? This experiment proves photosynthesis will produce starch. But I'm not sure whether you can find iodine, but if possible, try to do that also. අර iodine ලුණු වල තියෙන iodine එක දාගෙන බෑ. ඒක මදි. ඒක චුට්ටයිනේ තියෙන iodine පොඩි ප්‍රමාණයක්. Here, the brown color iodine, you can see. This is the color. You can see light brown color in the iodine. Right, normally you can buy iodine, but I think you can buy from a chemical shop. If not, if not, ask help from your mother. Okay, then, so another thing that we need to prove is, okay, now we know photosynthesis process produce starch. The next thing that you need to know is the photosynthesis process emit oxygen. Actually, it's a byproduct. Byproduct කියන්නේ main product එක ආහාරනේ. ප්‍රධානව යාලට ලැබෙන්නේ ආහාර. එතකොට byproduct එක කියලා කියන්නේ අතුරු ප්‍රතිඵලය නේද? අතුරු byproduct කියන්නේ අතුරු ඵල. එතකොට අතුරු ඵලයේ විදිහට the byproduct of this is basically oxygen. To see that, we have to use like hydrilla-like plants because these are water-based plants, right? So because if you put a normal plant, it will not survive underwater because you have to use underwater plants. This can be found in fish tanks and even fish tank shops. They are selling these plants, so you can easily get from there. And these are underwater plants. You can just keep few underwater plants and then just set up this similar to, and then place a funnel. පුනීලයක් දාලා තියෙන්නේ මේ පුනීලෙන් තමයි මේක seal වෙන්නේ ගන්නට. Using this funnel, the opening of the funnel is open to the here, open to the test tube here, and actually, so if you keep this for few hours, you can see small bubbles are there. These bubbles are collecting here, and the water level will drop. Bubbles are collected, and the water level will slowly drop down. When bubbles are collected, the water will be pulled away. So that will happen. Actually, what are these bubbles? You can test this by inserting a blowing splitter, or even using box of matches box. You can just test this. No need to use the entire box, just use one match. And then now you have to insert blowing splinter. හත්තු වෙන කුංචි කූරක් වගේ හඳුන් කූරක් වුණත් පුළුවන්. Then you can see this will be, it will look brighter and burn aggressively. So with some light, it will be lighter, brighter, and burn. The reason is presence of oxygen. No, oxygen is gas which help, right? It is a gas which help burning. So it's assisting, right? Therefore, you can see. Okay. So this is also easy experiment. You can find a funnel you can buy from normal shop. No need to be transparent like this. Just put a funnel. Then the test tube also, I said how to get a test tube kit last day. Okay, these plants are drawing, and it's very important to have these plants inside these aquatic plants inside these aquariums and also fish tanks. Why? Because it emits oxygen. It is useful for these it's useful for these creatures inside, fishes especially. It's useful because the oxygen, it keeps the oxygen. That is why we put these aquatic plants inside the fish tanks. Sometimes I saw that even there are fish tanks are there, but at least the oxygen bubbler is used to artificially give the oxygen. The මේව නැති ඒවා තියෙනවා මාළුටයක් ඒවට අර oxygen bubble කරන්න තියෙන oxygen supply එකක් හරි දෙනවා. මොකද දැන් කෘතිමව දෙන්න එපා ඇතුලේ හැදෙන්නේ නැත්තම්. Right? Actually, it's using normal air flow එකක් තමයි. ඒකේ තියෙන 120ක් තියෙනවනේ oxygen. ඒ ඇති 120. That is enough. Otherwise, you have to put aquatic plants. Actually, this will prove that as a byproduct, it will emit oxygen in photosynthesis. Okay, so what's the important? Today we have learned in depth about photosynthesis, how it happened, who are the participants, what are the products, what are the byproducts, how to observe these products, how to test these products, how to verify whether you got starch, and how to verify whether you got oxygen in photosynthesis. Why this is important? Because you know, oxygen කන්නද කියලාත් ඇහුවනේ කවුද නේද අපේ. හැබැයි කන්න නම් නෙවෙයි, oxygen නැතුව අපිට ජීවත් වෙන්න බෑ. Oxygen is required for living beings. All the living beings, including animals, plants, all of them need oxygen. Why? For their respiration process. That is one important thing. The second important thing is, right, it will balance the airflow. It will balance the air. It will absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and help decrease the temperature, or help, like, otherwise it will, like, carbon dioxide will increase global warming. But having plants is a solution because it can absorb this. So, you know, some countries are there, I think Myanmar or some other country is called carbon negative country. They produce more oxygen than carbon dioxide. So there are few carbon negative countries. I think Myanmar or some other country nearby is a carbon negative country. So, who are the carbon negative countries? Because most of the countries are carbon positive countries. Bhutan, yes. Bhutan, Norway, Sweden, UK. You can see net zero emissions. So they're basically, but these countries, in the other hand, so they are not good. They are not in a very good situation. They are emitting more carbon dioxide. But these people, they are basically here. These are negative even, already negative. Bhutan and Suriname, yeah, Bhutan and Suriname. These are carbon negative. Actually, these are planning, right? Norway and Sweden are planning to be carbon negative by 2030, 2045. They are planning, but already Bhutan and Suriname are negative. You can see the Bhutan, so how they become such carbon negative country. It's a wonderful thing, right? That is for the global warming. And the next thing is main thing is it produces food. It's a food source. It's produce food. That is the main thing here. Right? And also it emit oxygen, absorb carbon dioxide, produce food, and also then so increase in the actually is decrease in the percentage of carbon dioxide in the environment. These are the things that is done by. Okay, we need to learn about the transportation mechanisms too. What with the time, I guess we can stop from here because that is a new topic again. Yeah, when we start, we cannot stop in the half. Anyway, with that, and we can finish this lesson next day. So these lessons are small lessons, don't worry. We can finish this quickly. Then is life cycles of living organisms. Actually, we have skipped about the human body that we need to cover. I'm doing it as the last lesson because that has some new terms to learn. So we'll do that as the last lesson. And this, of course, we can do next, and then the food preservation. So very important, timely topic. Number 13 is food preservation. So number 14 is, these are small lessons, right? Solar system. Another interesting lesson. You have a lot of lessons in grade 8, right? Lesson 8. Then, yeah, that's it, I think. Natural disasters, the very small lessons, only one day lesson. When you are going to finish your term, is it in May or March? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
When you are going to finish your term this time, is it in March or May?
Sir, November වල එක ටර්ම් එකක් ඉවරනවලු end එකේදී.
That is second term, right?
Yes, sir.
Second term will be ended in November, then
Third term එකේ මේ February අන්තිම.
February. It's I think fast, right? The third term is having end of February, right? It's having 3 months. It's okay. Yeah, then March you have the final exam.
Yes, sir.
No, we have enough time. Okay. Then good night. See you next week.
Good night, sir.